Let's use one of the statutes that we found on the previous slide to show you what it is you're looking at when you get to a regulation. Here we have Title 8, Aliens and Nationality, Regulation number 312.2 on the knowledge of history and government of the United States. At the top you have your heading, which tells you where you are in the CFR. Title 8, Chapter 1, Subchapter 3, Part 312. Notice that in the chapter level is where you will find the agency that has authority over this regulation. In this case, it's the Department of Homeland Security. Under that, you have an effective date of the regulation, the title, and the text of the regulation itself. Looks pretty much like a statute, but it's not. One of the hardest things to know in research is where you are. Make sure you know whether or not you're looking at a regulation or a statute. At the bottom, you will see a credit just like you do in statutes. This tells you that this statute was enacted in 1993, and you would find that in the Federal Register. And then after every semicolon, there is an amendment, one in 95, 97, another one in 97, again in 99, and last in 2011. This source here has to do with the part, not this particular statute, but the Part 312 itself. And lastly, you have your authority. These are the different enabling acts in the United States Code that gave the Department of Homeland Security the authority to create regulations in this area. You also have ways of finding cases from regulations. Again, you have notes of decisions, which are a subset of your citing references that give you specific topics that have been litigated on in terms of this regulation. And you have your citing references themselves. In this case, 30 cases have cited to this regulation, 3 other regulations have cited to this regulation, and on and on. Let's go look at cases. All your normal filters are available to you. You can filter down by jurisdiction, date, notes of decisions, topics, and reported status. And as always, you also have your context and analysis, which gives you cross-references to other research avenues. In this case, different law review articles and Federal Register summaries. Let's go see what this looks like in Lexis. Looking at a regulation in Lexis is much like looking at it in Westlaw. You can do the same things, you just have to know what you are looking at. Here is that same regulation, 8 CFR 312.2. You have your heading, which tells you where you are, and again at the chapter level it tells you that you are under the Department of Homeland Security. You have the text of the statute itself, and underneath that you have your statute authority. This is like the authority in Westlaw in that these are the enabling acts that give the Department of Homeland Security the authority to create these regulations. Under that, you have the history, like in Westlaw. This tells you when it was enacted and every amendment after that. And then under that, you have your notes to decisions, which are a subset of the citing decisions. Under citing decisions, you have all the cases that Lexis has that cite to this regulation. And you can use your filters to filter down by court, publication status, etc. And then under other citing sources, you have anything other than cases that has cited to this regulation. Statutes, other regulations, secondary sources, and so on. In Lexis, if you would like more of those cross-references like they have in Westlaw, you will find those all the way at the bottom under research references. And here, they give you a couple of hierarchy notes. Let's go and practice looking at a regulation and using it to find cases.